Hey. Hi. Why don't you come and join me? I'm Alice. Hi. Nice to meet you. Oh, please come and join me. You're not interrupting. This is a small, informal unbirthday party. Oh, come and join me. It's okay. Have a seat. Would you like some tea? I've got plenty of it here. No, please have a seat. I'll pour you a cup of tea. I have plenty of cups here. And I have more than enough room here at the table. See, I have this lovely teapot with me. I hope you like your tea strong. Do you like sugar in your tea? Okay, perfect. How many spoonfuls? 2? Okay. One, 2. Here you go. Yeah. So, how long have you been in Wonderland? Not very long, it looks like. You still look a little confused, which is natural here. It took me a long while to get used to it. Yeah, the first time I came here, I saw a white rabbit in a waistcoat and a pocket watch. And I was so curious about it. I'd never seen anything like it. So I had to follow him, of course, and I fell down his rabbit hole. And I found myself here in Wonderland. It's all nonsense here, but a wonderful sort of nonsense, I guess. It was kind of everything I've dreamed of in all my imaginings. You know, I get really bored in my studies and classes, so this place has been such a refuge from that. Yeah, it took me a while to get used to it. There's so many strange things that go on here. But now I can come and go at my pleasure. It's just relaxing now. So, how are you finding Wonderland so far? A little scary. That's okay. You'll get used to it. Mostly, I think it's beautiful. Once you accept the fact that nothing will make sense, it'll get much easier. So, I'm glad that you found us today. No, like I said, you're not interrupting. The more the merrier. This is an unbirthday party of mine, actually. Oh, you've never heard of an unbirthday? Well, let me explain it. So, statistics prove that you have one birthday every year, right? Every 365 days. So that means for 364 days, you have an unbirthday. So today's my unbirthday. Is it yours? Oh, it is. Good. I mean, it'd be a really small chance that was your actual birthday. So please come and join me. We'll celebrate your unbirthday as well. I have my friend, the White Rabbit. He's actually been hanging around. I can have him make us something special for our unbirthdays. White Rabbit, do you mind making a cake for our new friend? Thank you. Okay. I think he's going to cook up something special for us. Don't you like your tea? I made it especially strong for you. Would you like some cookies? I've got these special Wonderland themed shortbread cookies. See? There's a pawn, a queen cookie, and a knight. They're shortbread cookies. Yeah, please take one. Which one would you like? Oh, the knight cookie. Sure. There you go. It's really good dipped in the tea. The White Rabbit made these for me as well. Yeah, it's sort of a card theme cookies because the White Rabbit works for the Queen of Hearts. He was a knave for her for a little while. I think he quit the job because it became too stressful. You know, the Queen of Hearts, she doesn't tolerate tardiness, and unfortunately the White Rabbit is always tardy. Oh, you know what? I think he's finished with our special unbirthday present. Okay, here he is with our special surprise. Hey, look at that. Thank you. Thank you. He's such a good baker. This is a nice surprise, isn't it? You should blow out the candle and make a wish. No, don't worry. This isn't one of those exploding candles. Well, if you don't mind, I'll think of a wish for us and blow out the candle. Okay. Perfect. Well, happy unbirthday to both of us. There you go. So yeah, as I was saying before, the first time I came down here, I followed the White Rabbit down the rabbit hole into Wonderland and met many strange creatures and people along the way. Really, one of the biggest things that I missed while here in Wonderland was my C-A-T. Dinah. Yeah, that's her name. You can't say the word because of the Dormouse. If you say the word, he goes crazy. Yeah. Do you want to meet Dinah? Okay, just 1 second. I'll see if I can find her now that I'm able to come back to Wonderland whenever I want. I bring Dinah with me occasionally, as long as the Dormouse is well hidden. Okay, 1 second. This is my C-A-T. Dinah. Isn't she lovely? Yeah, I really missed her when I was gone away to Wonderland for so long for the first time. So it's really nice being able to bring her down with me. Listen to her purr. She's such a good purr. That's right, Dinah. Like I said, we just have to make sure that she doesn't bother the Dormouse. Wonderland doesn't seem to bother her at all. She kind of just accepts it in strides, although she does occasionally try to chase the white rabbit and the March hare. Yeah. Okay. Say goodbye, Dinah. Say goodbye. Yeah, Dinah's just lovely. Would you like to meet the Dormouse now that my C-A-T is gone? Sure. Here's the Dormouse. She likes to hide in the sugar bowl. Let's see if she has anything to say to us.
Twinkle, twinkle, little bat, how I wonder what you're at. Up above the world you fly, like a tea tray in the sky.
She's always saying really funny rhymes like that. Okay, Dormouse, back in your sugar bowl. I think I poured myself a little more tea before we continue our unbirthday party. The tea here in Wonderland definitely has a unique flavor. It's much better than the ones you'll find in London. So, I expect that you'll want to leave here soon, right? Most people that come to Wonderland, I mean, they like it at first, but you definitely get homesick right away since everything here is nonsense. So, I can tell you a little bit about what you'll need to know on how to get out of here, okay? It can be very confusing at first. It took me days to get out of here, and I had a lot of help. Well, not real help, but the Cheshire Cat helped me to get out of here. Yeah, the Cheshire Cat helped me leave this place in a fairly roundabout way. He is definitely a trickster, and he told me to go see the Queen of Hearts, because when you're here in Wonderland, you don't have a way home here. Every way is the Queen's way. And that is true for you now still. If you want to leave Wonderland, you're going to have to talk to the Queen. But if you've heard of her at all, believe me, she's not as scary as you think she'd be. She has a bad reputation, but she's really not all that scary. No, I was terrified when I first met her, and she threatens to cut off everyone's heads. That's her thing, but it's kind of just a game. It turns out she doesn't actually cut people's heads off. She just sends them to the dungeon for a day, and then they come back good as new the next day. So So yeah, the Queen of Hearts. I think she's rather fabulous, actually. She is all powerful here in Wonderland. She has the largest castle in the land and extensive gardens and topiaries and hedge mazes. She particularly likes roses, but only red roses, so a good thing for you to do is actually bring her a red rose as a token of gratitude and friendliness towards her. That'll soften her up for you, okay? I have one here that you can borrow. Now, this is not a real rose, but it's the thought that counts. Plus, it's red. You know, she'd be a little upset if you tried giving her, let's say, a pink rose or a white rose, but red rose, those are her favorite. Even though it's a fake rose, it's still very soft and lovely. And actually, you could tell her that it's an everlasting rose because technically it is. It will always be this beautiful, plump, fresh-looking red rose forever. So here, when you go to the Queen, give this to her. She'll like you a lot more for it, okay? Also, if you're going to meet the Queen, it's very important that you know how to play Wonderland croquet. Do you know how to play croquet? Okay, good. You know the basics of the real world croquet. So Wonderland croquet is quite a bit different from the real world croquet that you and I from England are used to. First of all, instead of mallets, you use flamingos. No, you heard me right, flamingos. I told you that nothing makes sense here. Actually, flamingos are kind of fun to use in croquet, but you have to be careful because they're very, very silly animals. They will try anything not to cooperate with you and play the croquet, so you have to whip them into shape, okay? Don't let those silly flamingos take you over. You have to tell them what to do. Also, it's very important, this is just a normal looking pink flamingo, but here in Wonderland there's many different colored ones, and you have to make sure to pick the same colored ball as your flamingo, or you automatically lose a lot of points. The Queen doesn't have much patience for somebody who doesn't know how to play croquet properly. Also, it's important that you make sure you let her win, no matter what. She has a very fragile ego. Like I said, she won't behead you, but you need to make sure that only she wins at croquet. Another thing that's useful for you to know about the Queen of Hearts. When you talk to her, make sure that you keep your toes out, open your mouth wide, and always say, "Yes, Your Majesty," very loudly, mind you. That'll be sure to win her to your side. And curtsy while you're thinking. It saves time here. I know that doesn't make much sense to you now, but you'll see when you're there. Her land is filled with her playing card minions. There's diamonds. There's clubs. There's spades. And, of course, her main court of hearts. Just make sure to always cater to the queen. Don't focus on anyone else you see there, no matter how interesting, because it is the queen that will help you get home, okay? But once you figure out the first time on how to get home, you'll be able to come back to Wonderland as often as you want if you remember it. You have to remember it, okay? Don't forget Wonderland. It's too magical and wonderful of a place to forget. This for me has really become my refuge from my boring schoolwork and tedious lifestyle at home in England. So I'm sure that there are things that you would like to get away from in everyday life too. Yeah. So while you enjoy your tea, would you like to hear some of my favorite new poetry that my friends here in Wonderland have introduced to me? Oh, good. I just love poetry myself, especially the silly ones, and this is definitely a silly one. So I'll read it here for you. It's called The Walrus and the Carpenter. It's a tale about why being curious can be a bad thing, which my friends that told me this poem, Tweedledee and Tweedledum, they were using it as an example for me of why it might get me in trouble to be curious about what a white rabbit is doing, which I did get in a little bit of trouble, but anyways, this is a cute story. So as you enjoy your tea, just listen to this. Okay, The Walrus and the Carpenter. The sun was shining on the sea, shining with all his might. He did his very best to make the billows smooth and bright, and this was odd because it was the middle of the night. The moon was shining sulkily because she thought the sun had got no business to be there after the day was done. It's very rude of him, she said, to come and spoil the fun. The sea was wet as wet could be. The sands were dry as dry. You could not see a cloud because no cloud was in the sky. No birds were flying overhead. There were no birds to fly. The walrus and the carpenter were walking close at hand. They wept like anything to see such quantities of sand. If this were only cleared away, they said, it would be grand. If 7 maids with 7 mops swept it for half a year, do you suppose, the walrus said, that they could get it clear? I doubt it, said the carpenter, and shed a bitter tear. Oh, oysters, come and walk with us, the walrus did beseech. A pleasant walk, a pleasant talk, along the briny beach. We cannot do with more than 4, to give a hand to each. The eldest oyster looked at him, but never a word he said. The eldest oyster winked his eye, and shook his heavy head, meaning to say he did not choose to leave his oyster bed. But 4 young oysters hurried up, all eager for the treat. Their coats were brushed, their faces washed, their shoes were clean and neat. And this was odd because, you know, they hadn't any feet. 4 other oysters followed them, and yet another 4, and thick and fast they came at last, and more and more and more, all hopping through the frothy waves and scrambling to the shore. The walrus and the carpenter walked on a mile or so, and then they rested on a rock, conveniently low. and all the little oysters stood and waited in a row. The time has come, the walrus said, to talk of many things, of shoes and chips and sealing wax, of cabbages and kings, and why the sea is boiling hot, and whether pigs have wings. But wait a bit, the oysters cried, before we have our chat, for some of us are out of breath, and all of us are fat. No hurry, said the carpenter. They thanked him much for that. A loaf of bread, the walrus said, is what we chiefly need. Pepper and vinegar besides are very good indeed. Now if you're ready, oysters dear, we can begin to feed. But not on us, the oysters cried, turning a little blue. After such kindness, that would be a dismal thing to do. The night is fine, the walrus said. Do you admire the view? It was so kind of you to come, and you are very nice. The carpenter said nothing but, cut us another slice. I wish you were not quite so deaf. I've had to ask you twice. It seems a shame, the walrus said, to play them such a trick, after we've brought them out so far and made them trot so quick. The carpenter said nothing but, the butter's spread too thick. I weep for you, the walrus said. I deeply sympathize. With sobs and tears he sorted out, those of the largest size, holding his pocket handkerchief before his streaming eyes. Oh, oyster, said the carpenter, you've had a pleasant run. Shall we be trotting home again? But answer there came none, and this was scarcely odd because they'd eaten every one. It's kind of a sad story, really. Poor little oysters. I mean, I know oysters taste good, but I don't think I'd eat any that talked or had faces. Would you? No. Oh, but you seem homesick now, so it's probably best that you leave now. So, if you take the exit out of the garden, get lost in the Tulgey Woods. That's right, I said you have to get lost. Like literally lose your way. That's the only way to attract the Cheshire Cat. Like I said, the Cheshire Cat, he's a big trickster. And he likes to toy with lost souls who wander around Wonderland. But if and when he finds you when you're lost,